Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also have a couple closed roadie groups on Facebook, one called Death by Loadout and another one called The Backstage Pass. Here with me tonight is my good dear friend and co-host, Kyle Thomas. How are you, Kyle Thomas?
Great, man. Another day, another dog biscuit.
Yep. We have been busy this week. Well, let me say one thing real quick, because something just was going on before we went on there.
Oh, yeah.
And it made me think of something.
What do you got?
I want to tell the audience, and I am really lucky. I have a great crew. I put them through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on back here. I got a couple guys. We run this on a relatively small crew, and they really perform well, and I just love the hell out of them. And I want them to know right now, and you to know, that this happens because of a bunch of different heads that make a bunch of different stuff happen to bring all this together. LED walls, light, scenery, sound, RF, broadcast. This is, it's a thing. And so I just want to share my appreciation with you and Michael in particular.
That's
and
very
Alan Pettibone, our LD, and Winston Dama for helping us with scene set. I'm very lucky. So thank you.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with you, man.
All right,
I just wanted to say a big thank you to Greg Price, last week's guest. I owe a lot to this gentleman. He's an incredible engineer, and he's given a lot of time and patience, not only to Sound Image family, but me and Mike, just helping us out, teaching us his ways. He had an amazing show. We re-filmed it and re-released it, which I think came out much better than the original. But yeah, I think it was a solid show, and I just wanted to give him some love.
We redid that because Greg Price, I often proclaim how much I love many of my guests that I certainly respect and have a long history with. Greg Price is there with like Bernie Broderick or Jimmy Lyons. I don't know how to explain it. He's like who I want to be when I grow up.
Totally.
He's one of the best humans I know, one of the sweetest guys, and easily one of the most accomplished audio engineers in the world.
I'll tell you, if I had half the energy that gentleman has when I'm 70, I'd consider myself fortunate.
He's friggin' not only a role model and an extraordinary mentor, but he literally is there's a lot to be learned from just watching him go through his motions, and we're extraordinarily lucky to have had him on the show and to be a dear friend of him. He was in this morning, actually. Didn't we have a visitor? We had somebody come in today that was super fun, getting to catch up with him.
Did we?
Yeah, his name's Rick Allen from Def Leppard.
Oh, that's right. We're actually talking about that. Okay.
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
Well,
he's a brother.
Gotta be cautious of what we talk about. But sure. We all posted.
You're right, but
we posted pictures of it. It should be all right.
Yeah, it's Rick Allen. He's a dear friend of the show, and
Yeah, I think he was getting ready for to go out, release some of his art, do a little bit of his art exhibits, maybe go out to New York again and a couple other places.
That's right.
Stop by and said hi. We hadn't seen him in a while.
It had been, a month or two, and he's an artist. He's an extraordinary drummer. He's a survivor. He's a extraordinarily charitable man that is involved in all these organizations, Sweet Relief, Project Resiliency. It's just
the big one, Big Love Army. I think is really beneficial to go check out on Facebook, or he's got a couple of groups, I think. But that's his primary one. And
the Big Love Army. It's a great page. There's a lot of good happening vibes there, He runs that with his wife, Lauren Monroe, who's got her own extraordinary band.
Oh, yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah,
we did them. We talked about it a few months ago, doing the Big Love Project here with a bunch of them. It came out absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I would like to thank Sweet Treatments, Jackie Corsetti.
She's the best.
She puts up with our shit a lot, and she's a total sweetheart, a total pro. She just got her new place opened up and running. I saw some pictures pretty recently.
See that mural? It was extraordinary.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's an extraordinary woman. She does backstage ambiance. When Snoop Dogg needs a giant marijuana leaf on it for a set piece on stage, Jackie Corsetti. There's nothing she can't do. She brings class, taste, and style to every project. I know one of the great ones I know that we were involved with was Prince wanted aromatherapy on his shows, and Jackie Corsetti figured out how to do that. And
sticking lavender in the vent. Yeah, that's a good story. You should watch her show. It's incredible.
Yeah, you give her a challenge, she's gonna work it out.
What venue was that? Do you remember?
Oh, dude, what was that? It was at
Fox or something?
No. Was it Fox?
I might have been the Fox. We got to rewatch the episode.
Regardless, she's an extraordinary woman, and we're lucky to have her as one of our sponsors.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank EAW, our other sponsor. We got a nice little stack of them back here. Of course, it's digital representation because me and Mike are lazy and don't want to push giant speakers under the stack.
They're only 1,200 pounds of
you get over the weight, sound incredible when they're actually not just set pieces.
Yeah, yeah. I'd go to EAW Users Group. It's a great page.
Yeah.
One of our favorite manufacturers. It's funny because we do love EAW more than anything. I think you guys know that. We also had David Kerner in here from L Acoustics this week.
Acoustics, that's right.
It was nice seeing him, and we love those guys too. You know, there's many great systems in the world.
Well, we got to talk up the K3 a little bit.
K3's coming, guys. K3's out there and rating. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that gets deployed.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'd also like to talk and give a shout out to Signal, Illinois. They just had their 100th episode.
That was super impressive. The boys over at Signal Illinois, you know, Michael and Chris and Kyle, they put on a really great show. They handled the ones in this era. As they get into some of the finer details of Tech Talk, they did their 100th show last night. We made an appearance just to wish them well and send them some love. And
yeah, I really look forward to every single episode they release. It's really good quality stuff. We have different content than them, and it really touches on certain things that our show doesn't. So it's nice to get kind of a tech perspective in some of the pieces.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they had Yakubowski on. Jim was on. You know, that was their first guest, and that was their 100th guest. It was very
and then I think you can still go and rewatch it. It's all, me and Mikey tried to rewind it, catch a couple bits of it, but they had some live performances and stuff.
That's right.
You know, you've been keeping me busy. We went that day, had the heavy metal band in, pretty big heavy metal band rehearsing.
Right. That was this week,
The day before, a couple days before that, we were working with Tony on some, live release thing.
We got a couple days with them in here, did a big show. That was super fun. We've worked with them over the years, over the decades, really. And I'd forgotten, the last time I was over at their studio in Mindseed in Oakland, and we just dropped a bunch of gear, and I hung out with Dwayne and the boys. But I hadn't listened to the actual band in a minute, and I forgot what a great band they are. I mean, they're ridiculous. They're actually extraordinary band, and they came in here and kicked its ass. And this week we got some country music coming in.
Yeah, we got Chris Scoville.
Weekend, so we're
touching on every genre.
We're just boop, boop, boop. Next we'll have a big rap act in here or whatever. We just want people to be happy and do stuff and play with the gear and keep the boys busy.
I'll tell you, as much as I love working on this sound set, I love the fact that I'm going out on site surveys and there's work picking up all over the place. It's like
we're turning out a lot of bids. I think there was 2 or 3 site surveys this week already, which are super good. We're really happy about that. And my brother's in there, pushing out the numbers. That's what he does, and he's amazing and kind of miraculous at it. And when he gets it all, it's good to go and hands out the stage plots and the input list, we'll start building them and putting them in the world. So
my smile's getting bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah, we're super ready. We're shaking the dust off, and hey guys, there's light. The tunnel is starting to get more open and more light. Hang on, we're almost there.
Pat Cheney checked in earlier. Pat O'Doul said he was talking to some local 16 cats, and looks like work's coming around too. So our brothers are getting it too. It's nice to hear.
Pat was jonesing. I've seen a couple of my we love Pat O'Doul. He's a sweetheart, and we need to get him some work because that guy's a worker, and his natural habitat is out in the mix with the rest of us. So we need him to do that, and we need this to happen. And it's Scott Cheney, our dear friend. Good evening, Scott. Thanks for tuning in. And one and only Charlie Zaricki. We love him. So, thanks, guys, for being here this evening. Thank you for all the work. It's great to have you busy and things going well. And
thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping me busy.
Yeah, shit. You earn everything you got, man. That's one thing here in this show, and we're very proud and thank you for that. Listen, I got a big ass show. Seriously,
dude, you picked another nugget for us,
dude. Seriously, I feel weighed down by the weight of the responsibility of properly introducing my next guest.
We're both we're not worthy.
Pull up my pants.
We're not worthy.
Well, there is a little not worthy. I was talking to let me do this. Let me do it, and I'll explain it in the introduction. All right. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, blessings.
Guys, listen, you came here on a very special night. I love to do this, but I will tell you, like I said, the onus is on me a little bit to properly highlight the vast experience of this gentleman who's with us this evening. I was talking to him a minute ago, and I mentioned that over the last 30 years, I don't think I've done a show in California where he wasn't my boss, and that's actually true. In the preparation for this show, and many of my friends and our mutual friends, heard that he was coming on, I started getting flooded with thank yous from extraordinary people that said, please tell Steve MacFadyen, thank you for being the man he is and giving him my start in this business. And that goes right across the board. My brother likes to say he's been been raising him since we were 19 and 16 respectively, and he's an extraordinary cat. He got to produce his first show in 1973. Listen, I normally write this out, but there was no way to do it. It's like Greg Price. It's just too extensive. He was a PM for his first concerts with Avocado Productions in '77, going out with people like Jackson Browne, Bonnie Raitt, Bruce doing shows with Bruce Springsteen, some of the biggest artists in the world. Just as simple as that. He's through the years has pretty much always been the production manager, the producer, the creative director. Is always in that position. He's the guy you go to when you need these big things to happen right with the big artist, and there's no failing. He's was a co-producer for the Bay Area Music Awards for, 18, 19 years. One of the first U.S. festivals. He created it, helped create it, was a part of it. He helped build and design Shoreline Amphitheater, one of the biggest, best places in the Bay Area to put on concerts. He helped remodel the Oakland Coliseum to get the Raiders to come back. Did you hear what I said? He did that also with the Warriors at the Oakland Coliseum Arena to get them to come. Legend. It just goes on and on. He was the vice president for the House of Blues. He ran the concert division for America and the amphitheaters in Canada. I just could go on. I'm the first festival director at the Bottle Rock, which is a massive festival. 27 years as a Polestar Live Conference and Polestar Awards PM. That's where we take a tally. That's the industry standard to understand what happens in this industry. He's toured with the acts as diverse as Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jennifer Hudson, The fucking Clash. I got to just get to it. I'll just keep reading it. Really, please help me welcome. It's the one and only Steve MacFadyen. How are you, my friend?
I'm excellent. Thank you, Vince.
It's so good to see you. You really are the godfather of the scene. I don't really know anybody that hasn't worked for you, and you haven't made us better by creating a certain level and standard that you simply have to live up to to be on a job site with you. Like I mentioned in the opening, my friend, you produced your first show in '73. Who was the artist and what was that about? How did you?
Jazz pianist named Les McCann, who I brought to my high school to play a concert because it seemed like a really cool thing to do, and I knew him. And I ended up going out on tour with him and working and wearing, well, honestly, every single hat. Because like I told you, I drove the truck. I mixed the PA.
That's right.
I settled the show, collected the money, and then somehow had to control Les and get him where he had to be, including back to the hotel at night.
I don't think a lot of the younger folks in the business understand that was a normal thing for us. Way up into the 80s. You did.
So many of my friends did the exact same job.
Exactly.
Wore every hat.
Guitar tech, monitor guy, collected the money from the manager, sometimes had to box with him. We were talking about some of the things on the table here. I've had to employ to be paid. It was a real part of coming through the industry.
Yes.
Early days, we worked in a very different way. It wasn't so specialized. It was you kind of were special in everything. Touring with Crosby, Stills and Nash. I mean, what a seminal group. They're really the soundtrack to American music and the history. What was that like?
I've been honestly blessed to work with a lot of great people and still do.
Yeah.
And I mean the real people, which means the ones doing the work.
That's correct.
Not just the ones making the music. The music side, when I started doing benefits back in 1977, I sort of fell into a benefit promoter that was the only benefit promoter in the day and became really the grandfather of all benefit promoters, Tom Campbell, at Avocado Productions down in Southern California. And that afforded me the opportunity to really meet and talk to and know a lot of these artists. And I'm still, very good friends with Jackson Browne, for instance.
Yeah, lovely man.
And so my niche with them, besides doing all of the shows that they were willing to give of their time for, was that, you know what happens with all of us. When an artist is not touring, the people that work for that artist have to find other work.
That's correct.
And if the artist suddenly picks up a bunch of shows to go do, and their regular people are already working, what do you do?
Got to reach out.
I was always the non-poacher. I don't want anybody else's job. So if Jackson or Bonnie or CSN or whoever it was had a string of shows to do,
Yeah.
then their managers knew that they could call me because I'm going to hand it all back as soon as their people are available or it's over.
Yeah.
So that is the ways that I got to go out and work with a bunch of these folks and get on the bus and go have a really great time.
But what you're speaking to is the honest broker principle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit before, and we know the history of rock and roll, and it's why maybe I have a slightly cynical take on some things is because we came up in a time in rock and roll there was kind of an A and B, and not everybody was the honest broker and came about it, and so. Yeah, you always carved out a niche for that, and your reputation is strong and pure, and you've done a ton of benefits. I don't know how. I mean, let's jump over to. I'm going to bounce around. Do you mind?
Not at all.
That brings to mind the Bridge School. I'm somewhere deeper in the cards, but you know we've done a lot of Bridge School. Bridge School is you helped bring that up with Peggy and Neil Young, which is an extraordinary. One of the things I'm getting the hair on my arms too. Because that always felt like one of the best places to be for all the right reasons. Tell us about how the Bridge School Benefit Concert, which is a Neil Young and Peggy Young, his wife, his former wife, benefit that would bring some of the most incredible artists in the world together for this weekend of extraordinary playing at the Shoreline Amphitheater.
Right. It really was Neil calling up his friends.
That's right.
And trading favors to ask them to come and be part of this event,
Yes.
which was raising money always for the children with non-communicative cerebral palsy,
That's right.
which is one of their sons.
That's correct.
That's how that all got going. And when they asked Bill,
Graham.
they asked Bill Graham, you know, we want to do this thing. What do you think? And Bill called and told me, whatever they want, just give them the place. And so we all got together and sat down and met and
Turned into a
just
really beautiful thing.
figured it out. And it was really just, you know, Neil asking all of his friends and people like Tim and Bob Stern and you know all of the cats that surround Neil would come together at Shoreline in order to create that. And in former audio alliterations of some sort, you guys were always there. It
That's
didn't
right.
matter the name of the company.
Nope.
It only mattered the people that were there to get it done.
Yes.
That's really what it was all about.
Yeah.
And Neil traded those favors by doing events with those people, for those people, whatever he could do in order to trade the favor.
That's correct.
And frankly, it was a beautiful thing to watch everybody come together, but it also birthed, you know, Jackson did his own version at a school in Sedona, Arizona.
That's right.
For 10 years, invited his friends each year to come and be part of this big benefit gag.
That's
and
right.
then Crosby started doing the same thing in a little outdoor Shakespeare theater in Solvang, California,
Good old soul
where
man.
he was, you know, again, raising funds for the children in the area and schools and the like, and inviting very personal, very special guests to come and join him on the stage.
Yes.
And just have a great time. And
Some of those shows
these
were
artists are
incredible.
Are really
you know,
the most incredible people.
Yeah, I mean, from Sir Paul McCartney to Josh Groban singing with the Smashing Pumpkins, the Foo Fighters when they were really nobody, to all the way up. This was I think 23 or 24 of these.
Well, the very first one was in 1986.
Yeah.
And they only stopped doing it, 4 years ago now? 3 years ago?
I
don't remember.
I lose track. This last year's really thrown my calendar weirdness around.
I can understand that.
Yeah, but my God, some of the most inspiring moments were at this at the Bridge School stuff, and again, it was a couple days, so it was kind of like a 4-day event for us, and it was I saw some of the most Tony Bennett with Nora Jones. I mean, just extraordinary.
Well, look,
show.
we're blessed to be in the Bay Area,
Yeah, we really
where so much of this happened and was created, and getting to work with and around a person like Bill and everyone else that surrounded him. I mean, nobody individually as a producer, promoter, put together as many shows for good causes and right reasons than Bill did. all over the world, not just in the Bay, but
No,
because we were uniquely positioned to be here, to be part of it.
That's right.
We're so spoiled.
Really lucky.
There are people in the other parts of the country and other parts of the world that would kill for that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. It was a strange, wonderful mix of incredible talent, people coming from things from a really special place and approach. And the talent wasn't just the artists, which we were extraordinarily lucky to be kind of inundated with great, players, but also people, like-minded people backstage, people like yourself and a lot of us that have really loved being a part of these things, and
Right.
it's just extraordinary. It kind of, again, I'm kind of switching out the cards just to stay on theme here. So we're talking about a place called Shoreline Amphitheater where these were held. This is a phenomenal place, and in the Bay Area with a very unique situation with how places to play. And that was a place that, I want to say 84?
Shoreline opened June 29th, 1986.
And you guys started talking about it and planning it, though,
Yes.
in about 84. And when I say you guys, this is Bill Graham, and you and some others came together to think, where and how do we build a respectable amphitheater?
Peter and Bob Barsotti,
Yeah,
Danny Scher,
yeah,
and of course, some reliable, lifetime friends and vendors that were there to test out everything that had to be tested in order to be able to put something like that together.
Yeah.
Before it could go in the ground.
yeah. It was phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
It's
If walls
world
could
renowned.
talk, absolutely world renowned. It is really this place that if you're on tour and you're coming through the Bay Area, you're going to most likely stop there and do your shows. And it's still charging and great. I think we've got Luke Byroner coming up here. There's the first show back out of COVID, and fantastic for them. Question about the roof. The roof is a very special roof. It was, I think, one of the first of its kind. How did we land on the roof design? What was the thinking of that? Because it's this very special, unique, massive tent, in effect.
Well,
I don't know the
tent,
right-
yeah. So are you talking about the tent or the roof?
Well, I'm talking about, look on the program screen, that.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That tent. That is a special thing. The airport in Denver was covered with a tent like that. There's a number of tent structures like that now.
Yeah.
The architect that was involved at the time spent a lot of time with people like Peter and Danny, dreaming up ways to make a statement.
Yeah. Sure
Really make a statement, and it certainly does all of that. Of course, we went through those times where you have the odd deadhead who manages to get into the anchor point and climb the cable to get up onto the tent fabric, and those kinds of things that you were hoping wouldn't happen.
That's true.
We actually, trained some riggers to be able to climb the tower and go all the way up and pop out through the hatch in the nose cone in order to go out on the tent and clean it when it needed to be cleaned.
Yeah, I remember the last time I was there, was a very tiny little young lady that could go up there like a little spider monkey. She was extraordinary. We always used to marvel at her in the mini shows we do through a given season and watch her just springing around up there. Yeah, it's.
I think Chung used to go up there.
Yep. It's a very. I think it gives it its distinct character and look and feel, and it's. I can't imagine it not being there. And it's somewhat grown to be a thing that's more of a standard that you see in places like you said, in Germany and other places around the world. Well, we love the Shoreline, and thank God that you've helped us with it. Working with Bill Graham Presents, this is one of the legendary production houses. When did you first come to Bill Graham, and how was that? I mean, what was your was it a good relationship? Bill Graham is such an iconic figure.
He was.
So few of us were able to work as closely as you did with him.
I was fortunate to get to do some incredible things with Bill.
Yes.
I loved my time at BGP. I have great and dear friends from the very beginning of that time that I'm still close to this day. So for that, I was very fortunate to be involved and get to be part of creating so many unique moments in time. For some for just great fun reasons, some for, again, those benefit things we did after the earthquake, for instance.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
Doing a show
Yeah.
for earthquake relief at the Cow Palace with Neil Young and Bob Hope.
Yeah. Nuts.
Who does that? Who puts that together?
Yeah, that happened, people, and it was actually extraordinary.
It was incredible. And Bill was a larger-than-life figure.
Yes, he really was.
He was very loyal to his people. Everybody that worked for him knew that he would back them all the way, no matter what.
It was a pit bull when it came to his people.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And very much so for crews and production people.
As well as the stars, yeah.
He was famous for taking care of
Absolutely.
the touring crew as much as the touring band.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
that was very unique and is very unique in this business. You do shows in other parts of the country where you may never even meet the promoter. Don't know who the promoter is.
That's absolutely
But
common.
in the Bay Area, everybody knew Bill, and that was certainly understood at his memorial in Golden Gate Park.
Oh,
when
yeah, that was-
hundreds of thousands of people
That was a special
came
day.
to honor the guy that produced the shows, not some
Yeah.
artist that had perished.
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy.
It was an amazing event, right? I mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said, I think it was about 220,000 people.
At the very least.
It was extraordinary.
Yes.
And I think I even, busted a tear on that one. It was, we were stage right, and everybody it was extraordinary.
It was.
And it really showed how many lives that man touched, and how many amazing things. He really created norms for doing large tours internationally.
Without a doubt. He
yeah.
invented a lot of what we all
not
do.
just what goes out front, but what happens backstage. The norms, the standards of what we now call professional touring and professional touring, realized shows. I mean, and then if you think about the side where, his work with all the bands that he worked with and sponsored and mentored and brought up.
managed.
I mean, extraordinary. Was I know you did, I believe you did a lot of Grateful Dead work in your career. Was that
I did a
directly
few
related to
Grateful
your...
Dead shows
yes.
over the time.
Talk to us about that. So, well, that's in its own right. The Grateful Dead, I did 12 shows with them with... was their big song, Gray, Touch of Gray tour. And oh my God, I was over, these are massive shows. We're doing 250,000 people in Laguna Seca for 4 days, with the X-Ray Spec and Bruce Hornsby and going all over these massive places. Remember that? Yeah, extraordinary, extraordinary. I remember it being a little traumatic for me, but I was young. I was like, damn, these people are really, it was a lot of fun. What was your experience with the Grateful Dead?
Well, working with doing Dead shows is different for everybody.
Yes.
Some people fully embrace it.
Yes.
Some people don't.
I was a little punk rocker. I was a little sore
And
thumb in there.
I won't lie. I did not fully embrace it.
Me neither.
I worked a whole lot of Dead shows doing a number of different things for the show, whether it was, building a replica of the Golden Gate Bridge and pushing it down the length of the entire floor of the Oakland Arena at New Year's.
Wow.
With Bill rising up out of the center of the bridge as his robes got longer and longer and longer as Father Time.
Wow.
Or just doing multi-night runs at Shoreline, or annually doing the Dead a long time ago at the Ventura County Fairgrounds.
Right.
Those kinds of things. So I always enjoyed the show and the production for what it was, and the amount of work and effort and the creativity.
Yeah.
They just weren't always my favorite band, I won't lie.
Yeah.
But most
extraordinary
people that know me know
experiences,
that, not my thing.
When you're working it, I think it's a very different experience than what the audience is experiencing. And that's really, this is part of our job, is just to give that audience
Don't
experience.
have to love everybody that you work with.
Always mean that it's exactly your fit. But, we're very lucky to have, I think, experienced this. This is a very iconic band. They literally own a segment of music and live music, performances that was kind of an honor to be a part of. I wouldn't do it again.
I used to tell everyone that I knew that they needed to see the Dead once. You have to experience that, because it is an experience. It is not
truly is.
just a show.
Nope.
It is a complete experience, lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera, et
Oh
cetera.
man, it has its own smell. Actually, it literally.
Well, it definitely had that.
Yeah,
But that,
it is a.
they bottled it and sold
Whoa,
that.
man, it was it was something. Listen, I'm a little envious. You know, I'm a man of a certain age. You're a man of a certain age. You got to definitely like 1 or 2 extra years on me. You got to do something that I've had people that have worked with Led Zeppelin and some of the biggest bands in rock and roll. Pink Floyd's one of my favorites. I never got to work or see the Clash. You got to work with the Clash. You got a good Clash story. I mean, we talk about a band that really moved the needle a little bit into. There was such a transitional form, you know. What was it like working with
Joe?
Joe?
He was a force of nature.
No doubt about
Absolutely.
it. I've heard stories.
Like there are very few like that, quite honestly,
That's right.
that could pull that kind of stuff off. But you know, again, I wasn't with them for very long. It was a string of shows. We were doing theaters, and honestly, I'm not going to sit here and tell some big bad story about the band. Their audience, talk about a devoted, completely immersed crowd. They hung on every movement and every word, and that was amazing. One of the shows that I did had the theater pit was covered in order to bring the people closer to the stage.
Right.
Unfortunately, done by others prior to us arriving there to do the show. And unfortunately,
it collapsed.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Railing gave way, pit collapsed.
Oh, that's bad.
But nobody was hurt. And we only had to, we kind of almost never even stopped the show because Joe just took control, told the people what to do, and we moved the people away and made it sort of half-assed safe and kept going because back then safe was a relative term.
Yeah, sure.
There was no
particularly
Event
for that
Safety
crowd.
Alliance, and there was no,
didn't exist.
there were no standards for any of that.
Maybe once in a while a fireman might stop by. You know?
So we got away with something that would have been a complete meltdown in today's world.
Wow.
But it was fun. I can say that.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
But you're not wrong. They really did have a diehard following.
They did.
And you know, a band that was very short-lived. They didn't get to do a lot of live performances, and so the ones that were captured and the ones that folks like you got to do were kind of precious in a weird way because they were such a seminal band.
Yep.
I mentioned in the in the intro that there's this thing out there called Polestar. Polestar is really an industry standard thing. Between their awards, their magazine, their all the different ways. They're the guys that help us kind of understand who's doing what's the movement in putting out ticket sales, for example, so on. And you have been producing the live conference and the award ceremony for over 25 years.
Yep.
What's that entail? Because I have to imagine that's pretty important to get right.
It was not easy, but easy all at the same time because Polestar is so well thought of and is such a brand in itself, and it is the Bible for all of its information, meant that it was a pleasure to do because no matter who I phoned up to ask to be on a panel, as we put together the panels every year. Because that was one of my things, was I put together all the panels for the actual conference.
Wow.
And asked and got all of the guests to be on those panels. And
can't imagine anybody ever told you no in that.
Well, not usually.
Yeah.
Not usually. It was really incredible to be able to know that everybody was going to take your call. And it didn't matter if it was the head of an agency or a promoter or whatever, what have you. It was a really, really great thing to do. And I enjoyed every minute of doing it and being involved with the industry in that way, bringing everybody together in the largest gathering of the live industry in the world.
Absolutely.
So I did that from its inception as the Concert Industry Consortium, up until the time that the two original owners sold the publication to a new owner. And then they had ways that they wanted to go about doing all of that. So it was time for me to move on.
27 years of doing something, making it very special. It literally is the industry Bible. It's You know,
Yeah, it was a great thing to be involved with, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, you've been involved with so many things. That's why I really had to pick and choose carefully. You know, we had only so much time, and I wanted to jump over. We got Kenny Wardell as a dear friend of the show. He's a legend in the Bay Area, and I know that you went on to co-produce and PM. A special little institution we have here in the Bay Area called the BAMIs, which is the Bay Area Music Awards. I think you did that 17, 18 years.
Yes.
And talk about some great acts coming through, from Santana to Journey to Metallica to, I mean, that's really a who's who, and a super
more
fun.
memorable than ever.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it's, you know, it goes out live on to TV thing. It's a live performance. It's a celebrators. It's extraordinary. How did you get into that one? Because that is a
Again, it was BGP.
yeah.
Because there was a time where Dennis Erikin, who was the founder, owner, editor-in-chief of BAM Magazine, came to Bill and said, help me.
Yeah.
And so I was asked, hey, you want to do this thing? This is what this thing is.
Yeah.
Go do it. So it started at the Kabuki.
That's right. Kabuki Theater.
And I was not part of it at the Kabuki. I started right after that. So all of those years working with Tom Lipinski, for example.
Love Tom.
I still talk to Tom all the time.
Love Tom.
And work with Tom on all of his prison stuff.
Yeah.
Especially as we start to come out of all this world change that's going on. But the BAMIs, oh my goodness, what a night. What a party.
Yeah.
All of those people in the audience, all celebrating one another.
Yeah.
The
Football
artists
stars
that we put on
stage. Like everybody. Yeah.
I saw a comment earlier today. I think Chris McGregor is probably out there somewhere. Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
You know, he was my stage designer and lighting designer for a while. Sure. Norm Schwab lit the BAMIs for years and years and years.
Yeah.
George, of course, was always there.
Georgie Edwards.
Just so many unbelievable people giving of their time, because few people got paid beyond the union.
Of course.
And we put together some amazing nights. Really? I look at some of the photos that Pat Johnson took in Larkin Hall for the after party going on, where he had risers set up to get all the artists, and you've got Bill sitting there in the middle, and there's Fogerty and Bonnie Raitt and Muddy Waters and all the guys from Metallica and Neil, and they're all on this stage on the same night. Yeah. It's crazy, ridiculous.
Yeah, some of those lineups, if a bomb would have went off, we would have lost a quarter of the entertainment industry and quite a few athletes to boot.
And so many people people you've had on this show.
Yes, sir.
You know, Mary Condi did a ton of BAMIs.
She's so good. We love Mary.
It was really, really a great time, and a lot of silly stuff.
Of course,
went on at the BAMIs. You know, I remember one artist. Actually, we couldn't find him. It was his turn on stage. I'm screaming in the headset at Fred White, who's stage managing the other side of the stage while I'm calling the show. Yeah. And I'm like, where is he? Well, I don't know. And he finally goes right over to the railing and finds this particular artist relieving himself in the stage ice chest.
We will not reveal the names here.
He took his saxophone and went out through the curtain. And
all right.
Yeah.
Well, he just limited that. We just narrowed that way down for.
He was a wild man.
Yes, extraordinary events, a lot of great memories. You know, a lot of wonderful. When you mentioned Tom, remind me, I have something for you from Tom.
Okay.
Before you leave, okay? Really, and it's a very special thing we have to keep close, but just okay.
Okay.
But
anyway, and Kenny was always there as K-Fog. K-Fog was always the sponsoring.
M-Dung and all those guys.
Entity. Sure. Yes, M-Dung. I remember. Now I hear Kevin the Rat doing sports on KCBS, and I remember when he won a contest on M-Dung's show to get that gig.
Isn't that weird?
Just to be a sportscaster live on the radio.
Right. Yeah.
And Kenny Wardell, of course, went on to. You know, he took over to create with Ron Gibson the California Music Awards, trying to keep it alive just a little longer.
That's right.
When BAM ceased to publish.
Yeah.
When they were no longer publishing. Yeah. So Dennis still holds court often on on the weekend at the Noah's Bagels in Lafayette.
No kidding.
He can be found there in the morning with the paper, hanging out, meeting people, moving to a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's sweet. I might roll over there and have a bagel.
Yeah, everybody's still around somewhere.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, we're lucky. We have some very legendary folks, really sweet folks that have done some amazing things here in our town, in the area. I mentioned in the intro, because this is fascinating to me, the House of Blues, I don't know if people understand, but it's a very large concern, and they're spread out across the country and actually internationally into Canada. And you, for quite a few years, were the corporate vice president of the concert division for Canada and America for their amphitheaters, and who did what in these places. What was that like? I mean, talk about a big responsibility.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have stayed there forever, but House of Blues merged with Live Nation.
That's correct.
It became a whole different thing.
That's correct.
But the brand that was created by Isaac Tigret and putting together the whole House of Blues nightclub scene was so incredible. And House of Blues rolled over Universal, which is how a lot of the amphitheaters came to be branded as House of Blues amphitheaters. So when I joined the organization, the chief operating officer at the time was just looking for somebody to sort of wrap their arms around the concert division, because the nightclubs were booming.
Yeah.
And the concert division was not getting as much love. And so I was set up to have all of the GMs at the amphitheaters in the U.S. and Canada report to me. And we started working on, taking them up to the next level. And I had a fair bit of amphitheater experience at the time.
So you did.
we had a great time with that. And I was constantly out visiting all of my business units around the U.S. and Canada, and having really, really great time doing it. Incredible organization of really great people, a lot of charity work, a lot of work in the schools that went on with all of the clubs, and so it was special to be part of that. Plus, the restaurant scene and the foundation room.
Oh man, yeah. So good. You had that job in particular, your particular job, sweet spot.
Yeah.
Allowed you to have your hands in all the pies, but then
really was
wonderful travel.
Yeah.
Just what a great gig.
And I was digging that for sure.
You did turn that thing around. I mean, you turned it around well enough that Live Nation wanted to take and swipe it up.
Yep.
I think that kind of said it all, really, in its own right.
Yep. Then we had to integrate all the amphitheaters together. They went from 41 to 51 at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. They're quite a force of nature, we'll say. It's a little, maybe because we have largely an industry audience here, but you're kind of interestingly situated as it relates to the corporate shows. You've done a lot of rock shows, done a lot of benefits, but, when we happen to be around some very large companies, we are situated around some of the world's biggest companies. Matter of fact, and early in the days of companies saying, "Hey, let's do some shows for our very large workforces," you were very integral in kind of developing that concept and renting out stadiums for some of the. And we won't name names. We can't really name names, but you have to trust me. These are the biggest companies in the world, and this young man is the guy they go to when they'll call us up for some stacks and racks. But first they do is they call you and make sure that we do our jobs right and everything goes off perfectly. How did that develop? And what is, if any, we know there is a difference between that and doing the rock shows?
Well, yeah, there definitely is a difference. And
Definitely.
I was certainly just one of many people that were helping these companies start to do more and more events themselves, both to build brand and also to
entertain the troops.
Yeah, to just build employee loyalty.
Exactly.
Honestly, there are, and as you said, we are blessed with many very large corporations that I don't know if exactly it's because they're in Northern California and there's a different vibe, so they want to take care of their folks. I don't know that all companies do that, but certainly we're very happy that some of the ones around here do it.
Yes.
Whether they're big companies in South San Francisco or South San Jose or in the middle.
Yeah, right.
They have done shows either on their campuses or in a baseball stadium near you and I.
That's correct.
Their focus is very different than a commercial concert that is having to meet the budget concerns of making all the dollars
Trying to make a
to
pencil.
pay for it.
That's right.
And that's quite different than a corporate event that it has a completely different agenda and budgets that agenda appropriately so that you don't have to feel quite the same pressure. At the same time, though,
There's another pressure.
there's a completely different pressure
Yeah.
because staying on brand and living up to a particular corporation's persona
Yes, sir.
is and can be brutal.
Labor intensive.
Very much so.
Yes.
But the good news is they're okay with paying for that.
They, in fact,
so
do
that they insist on paying for it so that they get exactly what they want, exactly
Yes.
what's required,
That's
so
right.
that their brand is, fulfilled with their employees as well as their clients and their buyers or whatever it might be. So that's a big piece to a really difficult piece to accomplish sometimes, because a lot of the bands for a long time, when that all started, bands, there weren't a lot of bands that got it.
Yeah.
They were coming in thinking that it was all about them. And
Wrong.
oh my, it was very hard for some artists to understand that they're,
You are now an employee.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're entertaining no matter what's going on out
That's right.
there. Nope, not turning that light off. Nope, those people over there are going to keep doing what they're doing.
That's correct.
You still have to play. That's a tough concept for some folks.
That's right. That's right. I think it's now more accepted, and
Very
people
much.
show up now and they understand what's going on. We have
bet.
some of the biggest artists in the world do these shows for the troops a lot, oftentimes. And that seems to have shifted some. But there was a time, you're right, there was some resistance to this, and they understand the kind of the artist take on things versus the business take on things.
And I have to say that part of that sometimes came from the fact that in the early days of large corporate, they didn't always have people who knew how to do the concert side.
Sure.
And they didn't always understand that there was a reason that those things are in the rider, and that you can't use a convention center PA to do a stadium concert. And there's a lot of parts and pieces that were different than they were used to. So it took some years for the education of the corporate client
That's right.
to be able to really work correctly with the right vendors and the right folks to make them look good. Once they figured it out, though, now,
boy.
as you say,
Professional operation.
it's as big as it gets.
Oh man, yeah. Some of these shows are extraordinary, and
Yeah.
Again, some of the largest acts in the world do these shows, and we are lucky enough to be involved with them, and
Yep.
largely with you at the helm. And it's always
Sometimes.
it's always a treat.
Yeah, I like it.
I wanted to zig around back down to 1982. Europe has a strong festival history, Glasgow. But it was something that was a little. Some would say, Woodstock was it wasn't. Monterey Pop. It's not really a festival in the sense of the way. I mean, it's a thing, but it was.
Well, if you look at them now compared to festivals now,
Yeah.
yes, you could say it was a festival. But at the time,
It was more.
at the time, nobody really in this country knew that term.
And you
so
were
much.
Exactly, and you were involved in bringing one of the first American festivals to. It was about 82, and I know you were in the desert for 57 days on this thing. Talk to me about
living
this.
in a trailer doing the first US festival. Again,
This is the US Festival we're
this
talking
was
about. This
Steve
is
Wozniak from Apple going to Bill Graham and saying, I want to do my own Woodstock. That's
massive
how
show.
he likened it.
Yeah.
A massive show.
Massive show.
And so Bill assembled all of the usual suspects, Peter, Bob, Greg, Danny, everybody got together to put this thing together. I was asked to participate, so I was just one of several people that were taking some part of this thing and trying to wrangle it.
Well, something that big needs.
It needed a lot of
little army
wranglers.
to
It
get it
got a
done.
lot of wranglers.
Yeah.
Mark Bethel. So many people from the Bay,
Yeah.
a few people from outside, but Bill really likes people that he knows and can trust. But the legendary Michael Ahern
These are really rock and roll legends.
was a huge part of that. Tom Mendenhall, who started FM Productions with Bill, was there himself. Mike Brown, again, was there himself with all of the staging.
Extraordinary.
It was
Truly a who's who.
it
of
really
rock.
was the whole
Yeah.
industry showing up
Yeah.
out in the desert in San Bernardino and creating this thing for
It was really a
300,000
city
or
in the desert.
400,000 people.
Yeah, it was.
We brought the hog farm down,
Yeah.
and to work with camping, and Rock Med was there to handle medical, and it was the artist list that Bill and Danny and Greg assembled was everybody that you could ever
It was,
imagine. But we literally had to carve the site out of the desert.
Yeah.
There was
Ground up.
nothing there.
Yeah. Ground up.
Nothing.
From nothing. Absolutely.
Bulldozers into the desert in order to create the bowl that later became a 30,000 capacity outdoor amphitheater.
That's correct.
And is still there doing shows.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it was a time where a whole lot of us all spent all this extraordinary time living out in Rancho Dust, as we called the trailer compound that we
Perfectly
put together.
named. Yeah.
And it was, again, like nothing we'd ever done before. And Bill, at the same time, is trying to, he's working on the Rolling Stones 81 tour. Everybody is all over the place trying to do all these different, Live Aid and all these other things. And this was just another thing that came up and
Right.
was insane. My parents came by San Bernardino and to check this thing out. And I have pictures of my mom giving haircuts in front of one of the production trailers.
That's awesome.
Because guys were going, God, I wish I had time to leave and go somewhere into civilization to get a haircut.
And your mom
my
stepped
mom's
up.
like, well, I'll do it.
Give me a chair. I got this.
Yep. They were sitting on a log, literally
That's
getting
amazing.
haircuts. It was completely ridiculous.
Oh my God, that is
frankly.
truly the history. If you don't know, really, just peek in. YouTube's cool this way. The US Festival. This was some next level shit. This is an extraordinary thing with like Steve said, an extraordinary lineup. I can't imagine bringing this kind of firepower together again. I don't think it would pencil.
Well, no, it wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't pencil.
Yeah,
that's for
you know,
sure.
and so my God,
But
really.
then, Woz
extraordinary
was
thing.
trying to introduce everybody to the Max.
I
so
know Woz.
there was an agenda.
Wozniak he's a special cat. He's a
Yeah.
sweet man, and I always enjoyed him a great deal. He's a lovely guy. So this is 1982, US Festival. Let's move forward. And, you had a lot to do with bringing to life you were the festival director at 2014 Bottle Rock, which was an extraordinary, I don't know, was that 80, 100,000 folks, something like that.
That was the second year.
The second year, I think you and my brother were.
New owners the second year.
Yeah.
New people looking for folks like your brother,
Sure.
like myself, who could come in and, we'll say, right the ship.
Yeah. It needed a
And it's
little
only-
adjustment.
That ship
Yeah.
was a rocket ship.
It really was.
And, Bottle Rock is just an amazing, amazing event.
It's
and
extraordinary.
I call it a VIP festival because
It kinda is,
let's
isn't it?
face it, it's
Yeah.
Napa,
Yeah.
it's wine.
There's a lot of wine
it's
sippers in that one.
Lots
Yeah,
and lots
yeah.
of VIP level experiences. And the three owners that took that whole thing over have
Turned it around.
completely turned
Yeah.
it into an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's quite a happening. It's some incredible lineups, an incredible venue, incredibly well done. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, and early days with it.
I was pleased to be a part of it and to
Yeah,
contribute to making it successful in its new alliteration.
Yeah.
So.
And and I feel like we got to touch on this because you're not just good at that, but and I'm going to put these two together. I had them separated, but I'll just jam them together for time. You helped bring back, helped in the redesign of the Oakland Coliseum to get the Raiders to come back from LA, and they did. And you did the same at the Oakland Coliseum Arena with the Warriors. Talk to us about your side of doing this, the designing and getting these billion-dollar franchises to come either back or to be happy.
Luckily, I have nothing to do with the business side of what the team is doing.
Yeah.
However, I was fortunate to be part of the construction team to actually get the job done, to still keep the stadium playable for baseball, mind you, while we're trying to turn it into a at the time, more modern football stadium. Of course, it was still a building that had opened in 1966.
It needed some updating.
It did.
Yes.
But no amount of, as they say, lipstick on the pig was going to completely turn that thing around. And I was just there today at the A's game. I was sad every single minute that we were tearing the old, rebuilding the outfield into Mount Davis and taking away the wonderful view that we all knew and loved.
Sure.
I've had to fight down all the people that blame me for that, and all I was doing was following the plans. But boy, did we have a good time on a fast track project, turning the place into something completely different. I love the relationships that I was able to create there. I think one of the things that I was able to bring to those projects, as well as many others like that, is the operational knowledge of how a facility is to be used. So the architects know how to design all the pieces so they go together and the contractor can build it, but none of them know how to use it.
Yeah.
They're going to leave, they're going to go to the next project, and the folks that are left behind have to actually use it in a way that is pleasing to the tenant as well as all the guests. And that is where I like to think I was bringing a lot of special skill and knowledge in there to help them
to that unique challenge. Yeah. No, and it is a challenge, and that like you said.
But it was a gas to do.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh my goodness, it was so fun, so fun.
I got you. Listen, my friend, I could talk to you all night.
I know.
Really, really good.
I could do that too.
You're just endless, bottomless pit of experience and amazing, history of rock and roll. You're a great guy. We really very much appreciate you coming out here and sharing with our audience.
My pleasure.
Your history, your stories. We know we're going to see a lot more of you again. We all had a little rest. You look great. I love the beard, and we're going to get back out there.
Else, COVID beard.
And we'll, in the future, be working together, I'm sure, and we'll always try to bring our best to you because you are one of the best people we've ever worked for. And, my brother told me to send you some love, how he feels about you.
I know.
And we appreciate you very much.
Cool, man.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Kyle.
night.
Thank you for being here, man. That's awesome
right.
stories.
Yeah, you bet.
What a treat. Seriously.
I really love this guy. He's incredible. All right. So thank you, guys. Listen, we've, again, very lucky to have a wonderful guest tonight. We're going to keep trying to do this. We're very busy going forward. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in. We know you could be anywhere at this time in the world, and you come and share it with us. We very much appreciate that. We've got a great guest for you next week. Couple guests, actually. Dear friends, in this business, to get our stuff around, we deal with some kind of expensive stuff. So we do that in airline cases, travel cases, and some of your dearest friends are your manufacturers that help you with that process. There's a lot of choices out there. We choose Jan and Al Cases, who are extraordinary manufacturer and partners in crime with us, and that's Muffy Alejandro and Jan Alejandro. They're the owners. They're dear friends. They came in and are going to do a show with us and talk to us about their time running the studio at SIR, Studio Instrument Rental, extraordinary place. And they moved on to start their case company in the 80s and are one of the go-tos for pretty much any, from the Rolling Stones to the Dodgers. They're an extraordinary couple. They're going to come in here and they're going to share their stories. We're going to have a good time next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Please come back. Until then, be good, be kind to each other. Have a nice week.